Okay, what I did is I decided to create a worksheet for my students. I teach 7th grade math, and I thought this might be easier to help them understand this concept. Anyways, I would pass out this worksheet, and the first thing that my students are required to do is to do something we call marking the text. So they would circle any words they did not know the meaning of. They would underline anything that they felt was important, and then they would box in the task that was being required. Uh, the only thing that I would do with them is then I would go through any words that are circled. I would give them the definition. Part of this procedure is that if I circle it on my paper and I write down the definition, then you have to circle it on your paper as well, whether you think you know the meaning to the word or not. The only words that I'm thinking might be an issue for my 7th graders might be the word strategy, and the other word that they might have difficulty with might be prediction. So those are words that we might have to circle and write the meaning of those. Okay. All right. So then what I would do is I would talk to them about how we add things up. So to find the answer to this group, I could add these up individually: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But we know that we have something now called multiplication, which is a shortcut to that adding. So we would look at the 3 rows and multiply that by the 3 columns, and the answer, of course, is 12. So then my challenge to them would be to get in their groups and to look at these other sets of dots and divide them up into equal groups, as it says, their directions here, and show how they equal 12. So I would let them go off and work in their groups to do this, and then I would be going around the room conferring in with students to see how they're doing. So I might get things like this, which is fine. 3 times 1, and then that's going to be 3, and then again, same thing, plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12, which again is totally fine. I don't have an issue with that. That's what I'm looking for. Then also looking to see that I am getting this as well. So the 3 times the 2, which is 6, and then the 3 times the 2, which is 6, and also equals 12. Then after that, we would probably stop and share those different groupings that they came up with. And then in their groups, they would decide which of the groups take the least amount of time to solve and why, and which of the groups take the most amount of time to solve and why. And I'm not going to push them into a particular answer at this point in time. I'm going to leave this a little open-ended. I'm not going to say, oh, no, you should have had this or here and this there, because I believe pretty strongly that this next step, when they try their strategy on the following, this is where they're going to see that these two, obviously this is our shortcut, but that these two are the quickest to solve. I would encourage those students that needed to, at this point, draw a visual representation if needed. If not, that's fine. They can go on, but they could draw that. I know it's a large numbers, but I still think I would encourage that. And then it says, can you use your strategy on any number multiplied by 4? So in other words, can we use this strategy here for any number, why or why not? And then do you think your strategy would work for division as well? Here I'm having them make the prediction first before they apply the strategy. And I want them to do that. Then I'm going to ask them to apply the strategy. And then was their prediction correct? So I like the idea of doing this. And then sorry about the how, decided I didn't. Could we apply this strategy to decimals as well? Why or why not? For multiplication, for division. And then the last step of this worksheet requires them to create and solve each of your own problems to show your understanding of how your strategy works. Probably redo this worksheet and make sure that they understand I want 2 with multiplication, 2 with division, and then the same thing with the decimals, 2 with multiplication and 2 with division. The only thing that I am a little concerned about is this right here. I may have to step back and do some background knowledge for this before they can answer these questions. The only way I would know that is as I am going around the room conferring with the groups, or as they're asking questions of me, whatever type of feedback I'm getting. So it may be that at this point in time, I'm going to have to bring them all back together as a group, and we're going to need to talk a little bit about multiplying and dividing by decimals. And I would start with, I don't think I would start with 0.4. I think that concept would be a little bit more difficult. I think I would start with 0.5, something that they're more familiar with, knowing that that's a half or 50%. So I think I would start with this first. And if I needed, I would go to visual representation of what that means. And the reason that I may have to do this is I'm not sure if my students would be able to answer that reasonableness of an answer when it comes to decimals. I really am not sure. A lot of my 7th graders should come in knowing how to multiply and divide by decimals, but the fact is a lot of them don't. So to get a reasonable answer, I don't know that they could do that without some of this background. Anyways, we would come up with, what do we have? We have 5. And then, so if we were to multiply by 10 times 0.4, would our number be greater than or less than, our answer be greater than or less than 5? Why? Again, if I'm still having, a lot of questions, puzzled looks, still some uncertainty, I may have to go into some visual representations. I may have to talk about it in terms of 2/5. I may have to say, is 1/2 greater than 2/5? Is 1/2 less than 2/5? I misspoke that. That was the reverse. I may have to talk in terms of percentages. Is 40% less than or greater than 50%? So this background piece here, I may have to do first for them to understand that reasonableness and an answer before we could do this. So anyways, that's my lesson, and thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.